Hello again, everyone. This is Joe Henches with Beyond the Chart, and this is technical analysis of the stock market today. Today is Wednesday, November 19th, 2014. We're going to take a look at the markets like we usually do, and then look at the German DAX, Russia, India, China, our indicators, and then look at BIDU, CTRP, and SINA tonight. Okay, so here we are with the Dow Industrials. You know, I was thinking about the market. I went for a walk after market close, and it was, you know, a beautiful day here in Dallas. It was, hit a high of 63 after having that brutal cold weather that covered the country. And, you know, it was beautiful, it was sunny, it was 63. Went for a walk in the park and couldn't help but think that the stock market is actually some kind of anti-gravity machine, or it's acting like an anti-gravity machine. It's just hanging up here, and the clock's ticking. We'll see. We'll see whether or not this is a prelude to some, you know, it's trying to get tight in here, and it's a prelude to another move to the upside. It just doesn't look or feel like, but you never know. I mean, you just never know what the market's going to do. So let's go in and we'll dive and look at the indicators and see what the indicators are telling us, because we're getting a few little cracks in the ice here. So we'll see. The Dow was down 2 points today, another doji bar. Okay, now this has happened before where you've had numerous little dojis in here. You get tight, just like over here in early September beginning. Okay, and then you start to loosen up and you get some movement, you get going. And you know, it's happened, you know, many other times too. As I look back, it's like the whole compression thing before expansion. And I mean, you go back here to where is this, July, before the August pullback in 2000 of last year, and look at this. Look at all these doji tight bars that happened in here in late July, second half, and then boom, we got this expansion down. So there's, you know, it happens over and over and over again. This one's got a little bit of a slight slant to the upside, and we'll see. Let's take a look at the indicators real quick. They're kind of flattening out here. Not really, I mean, they're not rising at all. The SPX, same type of thing. This is more inside of the pattern, okay, that we got. The Dow seems to be throwing over to the top side of the pattern. The NASDAQ, not much change. I mean, really over the last 2 days, up, down. It was down 26 points today. At one point, it was down 1%. It was down 40-something. As you can tell, it was right down in here. And New York Composite, same type thing as the S&P 500. You know, a doji bar in here. Not telling me a whole lot new. The Russell 2000, though, it's starting to pull down a little more than the other indices. Starting to lead to the downside. Getting now 2 out of the last 3 days have been below the 10. Maybe starting to roll over. We'll see. We still don't have DI minus crossing above DI plus. The RSI, what is the reading on that RSI? It's 49.6, so it's just crossing the 50 line. So it's starting to confirm a little bit of down movement. All right, let's take a look at the indicators. Short-term trading index, the blue line, the 10-day moving average, is at 0.93. And that's the lowest reading. It was same reading as yesterday. That's the lowest reading since back here, since the 19th, when we had the peak on the stock market. So this low reading here, 0.84, came just a couple days before that peak. We don't have a comparable low reading here yet, but we are getting lower. The CBOE volatility, the VIX index, we've got 3 days in a row now, although the doji bars last 2 days, above the 10, the blue line. Get rid of the crosshairs. I don't need them right now. But we don't have the blue line crossing above the blue-gray, which is the 21. Okay, that hasn't happened yet, which will be a sign that it's turning up. And notice how that happened before, you know, these, you know, big moves in the VIX. Even back here in July, you got the 10 crossing above the 21 before you made a move. So now it doesn't take but a couple of days to pull that up. And if you get the VIX popping up and the market's pulling back, The high-low index today dropped down to the lowest reading in a while, in several weeks. What's the net there is 27. So 27 more new highs for the day. 52-week new highs versus 52-week new lows. There were 27 more new highs. And if you look, this is where the crosshairs help me out. I come back over here. What day was this? 10 on the 20th and 55. So lowest reading since October 20th in terms of the actual reading itself. Now, we are getting the 10-day crossing below the 21 here, okay? Now, when's the last time that happened? That happened right back over here on September 9th, a few days before the market peaked. And it did it back here a few days before the market peaked. The market peaked, the high reading in July was July 16th, and the high reading in September was September 19th, okay? Which was probably right around in here, yeah, right here. So you notice how it does turn down ahead of time, and that's the other thing. The other one is going to look at here is that high yield bond fund. That's turning down ahead of time too. Okay, so I put dotted lines, dotted vertical lines where the market peaked. All right. So back in July, you see the 10-day cross below the 21, and you got selling off of the high yield bond fund several days before the market peaked. And so the cross of the moving averages occurred 9 days before the market peaked. In September, the cross below occurred 11 days before the market peaked. We now had a cross 5 days ago, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so if this pattern of the last two peaks holds, then we're talking about a market peak 4 to 6 trading days away at the most. You know, would be my. There's no reason. I mean, there's no rule that would say it couldn't happen sooner. And I'm just talking about based on the last two turns. Okay, so these peaks here, and so it tells you, you can see what the high yield. And so why is this going down? This is because, again, it's the risk off trade. You know, people are saying, I'm going to lighten up a little bit on some of the risk I'm willing to take on. Okay, so that's the high yield bond fund. All right, let's take a look at some of the international indices real quick. Let's look at the German DAX and see what the leader of Europe is doing. It's, you know, over the last week, a little bit of a rally back up in here, although this doesn't look super strong in terms of its move. It's right to the 233-day moving average. But again, we're still in this lower lows, lower highs, lower low, lower high type of pattern. Okay. The other one, Russia. This one's kind of interesting. I know I've talked about this. I pulled up a big, broader picture, longer term picture here because, you know, Russia's been holding up pretty well. I mean, sure, based on the stock market, I mean, it's back trading where it was, you know, before the Winter Olympics, before the whole Ukraine thing erupted in December and into the spring. And, you know, the market's acting like there's, you know, the sanctions aren't having any effect at all. Let's see, India. Where is it? There we go. Nifty 50 index. This keeps pushing. This keeps pushing higher. We're in this fifth minor wave up. I do think, based on some projections, that it's still got a little bit more to go. It could, you know, push all the way up to 9,000 in this little leg. We'll see if it gets that far or not. And again, these are the minor waves. We're in a bigger wave. So, I mean, right now, India's looking super strong. China's had a good move. There we go. I'm right on it. Shanghai Composite. Okay, so there's a lot of buzz leading up to this, and maybe this was some of it. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I mean, you know, the whole Hong Kong Shanghai connect that happened. You know, I've been reading some stories where people are disappointed in the volume that's happening, and you know, the volume's dropped off, and you know, yada yada. I couldn't tell you, and I have no clue as to the activity level of what's happening with that. But I can tell you here, it looks like it's had first a 5-wave move up. I'm thinking we're pretty close. If this isn't the fifth wave, minor wave, there might be one more little leg up, but I think this has got a good shot at being number 5. And if that's the case, then this is the first intermediate wave. And then so we're going to need to correct this 5-wave sequence. So that's what I'd be looking to see happen. And let me look to see from here. We're not getting solid divergence in here between here and here. We are from this point to this point. So from like here to here, here to here, across the top to here, and then we're definitely getting it short term. So yeah, there's divergence showing up in here. So you could reasonably say that you know, we're probably in this 5th minor wave. So we'll see how that plays out. Okay, let's jump in and take a look at BIDU and CTRP and SINA. BIDU, I think BIDU has hit the top here. I think it's the 5th minor wave of the 5th intermediate wave of the 5th primary wave. And why do I say that? Let's zoom all the way on out. Okay, if you go back to 2006, this sure looks like one big impulse wave to me, and one big ABC corrective wave down too, and one huge thrusting wave 3 to the upside, and a shallower wave 4 correcting, and now we're in a wave 5. So if this is the 5th primary wave, then, you know, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 intermediate waves, and within here I'm counting 5 minor waves within that intermediate wave, which tells me that, you know, we're pretty close. And I can see within here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, you can make the case for 5 minute waves within this minor wave in here. So we'll watch to see if that's the case or not. And when you look at the divergence from the top of wave 3 to the top of wave 5, you're clearly getting it on the indicators in terms of that type of confirmation that this could be a wave 5. So if that's the case, then this is going to start to break down. We'll look to see for BIDU to break this channel line and start coming on down. We'll just have to watch to see what kind of wave count we get. So that's my best thinking on BIDU at the moment. CTRP is another one that's had 5 intermediate waves up. Let's, you know, pull it back out, so you can see that we're talking about 5 intermediate waves. And you know, this one, you can always tell the wave 3, right? Wave 3 with the gaps, strong move, going almost vertical at times. Okay, so you know, it's like all you have to do is find wave 3, and then you can figure out, well, yeah, well, there's a 1, 2, and here was 4, and 2 was kind of shallow, so 4 got kind of deep, you know, kind of alternating, and now we're into this wave 5. We'll notice the angle of wave 5. It's not nearly as steep as wave 3. So now, when you look at wave 5 in here, I think that it's breaking down and now this is where it gets to be kind of funky, because, you know, it's like, okay, now complex corrections can become complex. Let's put it that way. They can be simple or they can become complex. Now, my guess would be that it's going to correct all the way down at least into the bottom of wave 4, previous wave 4, which might mean we're coming down here in the 40 range. Well, if that's the case, then maybe we're doing an A, B, C zigzag, and then this is like a 3-wave B. I did have B over here, and I've now moved it back up into here. This is now still looking more like some kind of 3-wave B wave in here. So that's my thinking. So right now I'd be looking to see does CTRP start to roll over, and if it breaks this trend line up here on these indicators, which are setting up, and not so much there, but on the RSI, then that a lot of times it'll break it on the RSI before it breaks it on the price. Kind of a little bit of a leading indicator. Okay, so that's CTRP. And SINA is the last one, and SINA is breaking down. You know, we had this counter trend move in here. Was kind of suspicious about it, got really, really tight, and then it just, you know, it broke. And it really didn't give you a chance to get in. It just kind of came down in here. I mean, you would have had to say, okay, I got a couple closes below the 10. Let's go ahead and dive in. I just wasn't wasn't willing to do that. You just never know. It just didn't have the right feel. So right now, the real question is, does it test? It had a pretty big move down today. Does it just stop and test this low here? I mean, that's going to be the first test. And what's the low here? 36.51. Zoom back out of this a little bit. It's been above this point for quite a while. So you're going to see that. I mean, last time we were at this level was back in 2010. So it's been a long time since we're at trading down in that kind of level. So this is where this kind of support, and you may get it. You may start to kick in here. So I don't know. I mean, right now, what my best assessment on SINA is to say yes, it's in a downtrend, and it's just confirming that it's continuing to do the downtrend here. And we'll have to watch to see the indicators. We started to get some divergence in here, which kind of led to this rally, but then it ended up breaking on down, and it's going deep. So we'll have to just keep watching it, but it's trending to the downside. Okay, that's it for tonight. We will see how long this anti-gravity machine holds up on the stock market. And then we'll be back tomorrow. I know we're taking a look at, what are we looking at tomorrow? Best Buy, Racks, and Games. Am I looking at GME? I'm not sure if I'm looking at GameStop. I think I may have pulled that out because the options aren't very liquid. I'll have to look to see what I'm doing for tomorrow. I'll double check that. But anyway, on Saturday, I'll be back on Saturday with the weekend stock market update, and we'll go from there. So everyone have a great Thursday, Friday. This has been Joe for Beyond the Chart. If you felt like the video was helpful, please share it on social media. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe. It's just simple, first name and email, and you can download the PDF I've got for you, and gives you access to the Trade Ideas webpage where I put the details of trade ideas out there. It's password protected. All right, everyone, thank you and for stopping in, and we will see you on the next video.